So the Biden campaign strategy for 2024 has leaked here, and I wanted to share it with you. This is in CNN Politics. How the Biden campaign hopes to make 2024 less about Biden and more about a contrast with Trump. All right, so right off the bat, before we get into some of the specifics here, my initial thoughts are, yeah, but that was 2016. That was Hillary Clinton's strategy. Let's just, instead of saying, like, here's what we're going to do, here are our policies, here's why you should support us, it was just like, this guy is really, really bad. And it didn't work. She won the popular vote by 3 million, so that counts for what it is, but she lost the Electoral College. Now, having said that, in 2020, this was kind of Biden's strategy too. His strategy was the same as Hillary's, which was like, look at him. This guy's really bad. And since we just came off 4 years of Trump being really bad, it actually worked for Biden. He won the popular vote by 7 million votes, and he also won the Electoral College. The question is it going to work this time around? I don't know, but it's certainly not the slam dunk that they think it is. Okay, all right, so let's dive into it. The 2024 campaign year for President Joe Biden's inner circle will largely be about carefully ratcheting up the intensity against Donald Trump, wary of voters becoming dulled to what they expect to be the former president's ever wilder rhetoric and promises about what he would do if back in power. Or as some of the younger aides on Biden's re-election campaign have been grimly joking, it's about whether to go full Hitler. It's about when to go full Hitler, when the leading Republican candidate's speeches and actions go so far that the Biden team goes all the way to a direct comparison to the Nazi leader rather than couching their attacks by saying Trump parroted him. All right, so let me just pause here to point out, this is the elephant in the room. It's kind of rich and kind of ironic that at the same time, Biden is providing endless money and endless weaponry to Israel to slaughter massive numbers of civilians. Israel's leaders are saying, let's do an ethnic cleansing. Some are saying, let's do a genocide. We have over 11,000 dead children who were carpet bombed. Biden is funding that. Biden is arming that. At the same time, a genocide is being carried out with our money and our weapons. That guy's Hitler. Well, then what the hell are you? Now, look, I'll grant you, Trump uses Hitler's words quite a bit. The whole poisoning the blood of our country, that is literally almost a direct Hitler quote. It's fair to point that out. It's fair to criticize that. But again, the criticism is going to ring really hollow when you are witnessing and overseeing and endorsing and supporting a mass atrocity campaign. It's going to ring hollow with young people. By the way, new poll came out. Trump is winning with young people. Trump is also winning with Hispanics. So look, again, I don't think this is going to land as strong of a strategy as they think it is. It's just not. By the way, it doesn't mean that anything they're going to say here is false. No, it's true. To bring up that Trump uses Hitler rhetoric, that's accurate. To bring up Trump says, I'm going to terminate the Constitution, suspend the Constitution, that's accurate. Trump did say that. To bring up his 91 criminal charges, that's accurate. To bring up that he wants his second term to be about revenge and retribution, that's accurate. He says it. It's all true, but the question is it going to work strategically? The campaign so far, these aides believe, has essentially been Biden running against himself and losing, with his approval ratings under 40%, anxiety about his age and the Democratic divide over his handling of the war, of the Israel-Hamas war, but they see the next few weeks of the Republican primary campaigns as an opportunity to persuade influencers and media into thinking about the race on their terms. But we all know Trump is super authoritarian. It's not like, oh, you've convinced us. I've known this forever. Quote, you have this moment in the first quarter where he is continuing to go full MAGA extremist now in order to shore up support in his own base. A senior campaign aide told CNN about Trump asking for anonymity to discuss internal strategy. While he may be successful in that effort, if we do our job, we'll point out that everything he's saying is extreme and unpopular. Biden campaign aides will be doing that as White House aides finalize the president's State of the Union address expected for early February, aiming to capitalize on his largest national audience of the year to lay out an agenda that he can quickly take out on the campaign trail, including protecting Obamacare, expanding efforts to relieve student debt and housing costs, and tax measures such as a 25% minimum tax for billionaires and quadrupling the stock buyback tax. All right, so let me pause here for a second. Are there things that Biden did domestically that were positive? Absolutely, and we talked about them in detail. They already did a 15% corporate minimum tax, so they're actually charging corporations as opposed to in the past, some would pay zero, some would get a net subsidy. That's good. There's plenty of good provisions I could point to. But let's be clear. To this point, it's nice that they're saying this, but to this point, Biden has said literally nothing about a second-term agenda. Nothing. Not a word. Not a single policy. Not a peep. Nothing. And that's a problem. By the way, also, they're talking about, hey, our strategy is going to be attacking Trump first and foremost. They haven't done that either yet. They haven't. I wish they did. They haven't. They're not out there saying, hey, this guy said he wants to terminate the Constitution. That's crazy. They're not out there saying 91 criminal charges, 91 criminal charges. I mean, shit. If the roles were reversed and this was Trump going after Biden, his new nickname for him would be 91 criminal charges Biden. But nothing from the Biden people. It's insane. And while official campaigning beyond fundraising events is still months away, why? Why is it still months away? Go now. For Biden, events are being planned to conveniently take the president to battleground states for official speeches about his accomplishments. Okay, look, there's 3 strategies that you can employ when you're running. Number 1, brag about the things you did do that are positive. Number 2, give an agenda, a positive agenda with the things you are going to do. And they should be very popular, very wide-reaching, very optimistic, right? Number 3, attack your opponent as insane. So you're getting hints here of they're going to lean into the most attacking Trump, first and foremost. Okay. Now they're saying, well, we're also going to come out with an agenda, and we're also going to talk about our accomplishments. So they're like hitting all 3 roughly with an onus on the we're going to go after Trump one. But again, I want to reiterate this. To this point, they've done none of any of it. None of any of it. So I don't know, man. When you see the polls and you see Biden's down with young people, he's down with Latinos. He went from over 80% support with black people to now 63% support for black people. It seems like small potatoes, man. I don't know how this is going to work. But Democratic allies have been eager to hear Biden make more of a case for himself and for a second term. Now, ask many Democratic members of Congress to identify what Biden's second term agenda is, and they admit they're stumped. In other words, you haven't been saying anything. They tend to fall back on insisting that Democrats just have to do better talking about what they've done. Some go with finish the job. The pat slogan from Biden's campaign launch that even he has all but abandoned. To Representative Stephen Horsford, who chairs the Congressional Black Caucus and was an early Biden supporter in the 2020 race, part of the pitch needs to be making the anti-Trump argument feel immediate and not academic, but he does not think that will be anywhere near enough. The Nevada Democrat has met with White House and re-election campaign leaders, including top Biden advisor Anita Dunn, to press them into moving off using Bidenomics. In other words, that hasn't worked, arguing that the phrase is too centered on the president rather than on appealing to voters. Horsford said that even though Biden does not have significant primary opposition, but he does. They're just ignoring him and trying to rig the primaries against them. The fact that voting is about to start means he is overdue in laying out a clear second-term agenda. So in other words, yeah, look, we've already been through this, but you guys know 4 states now have decided we're going to have no primary. So he doesn't acknowledge that Dean Phillips exists. He doesn't acknowledge that Marianne Williamson exists. Of course, he doesn't acknowledge that Cenk Uygur exists. That's totally, but he doesn't even acknowledge Trump exists. So at this late date, there's been zero campaigning on anything at all. But what we're learning from this piece is the biggest part of their strategy is going to be that guy's bad. Okay, so look, I'll ask you guys what your opinion is. Of the 3 potential strategies, what is the best one and how would you craft it? So in other words, would you go with all in on this guy's really bad and I'm going to prove it to you? The one upside of that one is it's the most honest, right? Like that you could say things that are all true if you do that, right? So that's the one upside of that. The second thing is, here are all these amazing things I did. How much should he do that? I mean, there is a list of stuff that I think is fair to say, hey, this is better than any president, certainly of my lifetime. It kind of gets overshadowed by the fact he's supporting a genocide now, but nonetheless, how much would you do that? And then how much would you do no, here's what we're going to do in a second term, and I'm going to tell you in great detail, and we're going to do Medicare for all, we're going to raise the minimum wage, we're going to do the PRO Act, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. How much would you do that, right? So the default would be equal parts each. 33% across the board for those 3. How would you weigh it? Because it looks to me like they're going first and foremost on this guy's horrible, and the other parts are going to be tiny asterisks in the conversation. So I'm curious what you guys think. Put on your campaign manager hat and let me know in the comments. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.